Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and yes, I've heard your requests. A lot of people have been asking me, considering the fact that I am a lot into Roman history, they've been asking me to talk about this new class in the game For Honor, the Gladiator, and here I am, okay, so here we are, let's talk about it. So, first off, before starting, I'd like to have a little disclaimer. I'm going to evaluate this class from a historical point of view, talking about what I think about this class, considering my knowledge of Roman history, which again, I don't consider myself to be an expert on Roman history, but I love Roman history very much. In fact, I've already made a historical evaluation of the Centurion class, and if you're interested, link in the description below, of course. But for now, let's focus on Gladiator, the Gladiator. So, if we look at it, we can see that this class is more based, is more reminiscent of an actual historical gladiator than the Centurion, because the Centurion is a bit of a mix, to be honest, and I wasn't particularly happy with how the Centurion looks, but I am quite happy with the way the Gladiator looks, although I gotta say, as you know, and if you don't, please check out dedicated video on gladiators on my channel. I've got 3, so you can have a lot of information, links in the description below. Today we've got a lot of links in the description, but anyways, as you probably know, real Roman ancient gladiators had different classes. You have, for example, I'm gonna name a few now, but yeah, there were many different classes, and a different gladiator class meant that the gladiator had a different kind of way of fighting. You've got attackers, you've got defenders, you've got specialized gladiators that were optimized to fight against other classes specifically, for example the secutor against the retiarius. These classes were based on 2 things. First, the equipment that these gladiators were going to wear, the sort of weapons, armor, and shields, or lack thereof, and other kinds of things, such as the net for the retiarius, for example, so special sort of tools that they could use and operate during combat. But also, it's the sort of dimension and size of the gladiator himself. Like, for example, the class of Murmillo was mostly made of really big, strong men. So it was not just a matter of they are the best defensive class because they've got a lot of, they are the best armored one, but it's also because they were bigger guys. And on the other hand, the retiarius, the ones with a net, they were the opposite. They were very agile, thin, etc. Thinner if compared to Murmillo, etc. Now, so there were many different classes. And in here, when I look, and having an overall understanding of actual historical gladiator classes, when I look at the gladiator from For Honor, I see that it's a mixture, it's a merging of different classes. So let's see what classes we've got, and then I'll tell you why I think it is a little bit of a shame, the choice they have made. But let's see. Okay, so the gladiator here, if we look at the helmet, it's either the helmet of a Thrax or Thracian, or the helmet of a Murmillo, because these 2 classes had very similar helmets. There was a little bit of space for variation, but these 2 classes have very similar helmets, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go for Thracian now. I'm gonna go for Thracian here, as far as the helmet is concerned, because I don't see any marine decoration, which would definitely set it aside as a Murmillo. So to remember who the Murmillo is, as far as real Roman history is concerned, is the guys who have the same weapon and shield of Roman legionaries, and they are big, tough guys, okay? Now the Thrax instead is an attacker class, and they have similar helmets, as I said. They also use rectangular shields. They are normally not as big as far as muscular size is concerned as Murmillo, and they don't use a gladius, they use a sica, which is the sword with the point bent, okay? So they are more of a little bit more agile and more into attack rather than defense. Now here, as I said, I'm gonna go, the helmet is more like the helmet of either a Thracian, and the reason why this class was called like this is because it was based on how warriors were supposed to be, at least from the eyes of the perspective of the Romans, the warriors from Thracia, which is basically modern-day Bulgaria. So that's the sort of helmet, although I gotta say, there is another gladiator who normally wore that sort of a similar helmet, and it's the Oplomachus. And in fact, if we look at the equipment of this gladiator, the fact that he's using a round shield already tells us that it's basically closer to a Oplomachus. Now, the difference is that Oplomachus would use a spear, normally, and the round shield, What is this guy using? A trident. So this is why it's a little bit of a mess, because to be honest, a trident was the selected weapon of choice of Retiarius. But Retiarius were gladiators who were not wearing armor, exception being the left pauldron. They would not use a shield, okay, whether it be rectangular or round, it doesn't matter, because on the left hand, on the off hand, they would use a net, hence their name, Retiarius, because they would be representing a sort of, they would have the equipment of a fisherman, basically. And it's interesting because Retiarius would normally fight against Secutor, which is basically in a sort of, it's a class very similar to the Murmillo, so it's a heavy defender class, but the only difference would be, well, one of the differences, because you have several possible versions, but I'm not going to go into details, because if you are interested into details, click the links below, please, for the actual dedicated videos to gladiator classes. But the difference with the main difference with Murmillo is the helmet, because Secutor, as you can see, have got rounded helmets, and they are my favorite as far as gladiator looks are concerned, and that's because that way it would be harder for the net of a Retiarius, which is their natural enemy, their natural opponent, to get stuck in their helmets. Whereas if you get a Retiarius against a Murmillo, then the sort of shape of the helmet that Murmillo has would be rather easy, to use your net against him, but it wouldn't be as easy to use your net against a Secutor. So Secutor is a specialized one. The Retiarius doesn't use helmets, okay? So the fact that the Retiarius, that he's using the weapon of a Retiarius, the shield of a Oplomachus, and the helmet is, as I said, in between a Thracian and an Oplomachus. So it's a bit of a mixture, as I said, but again, I don't mind that, because we are in a fantasy reality. That even the Japanese samurai don't look exactly like they're wearing wooden armor, for crying out loud. And before someone says it and points out and says that in actual Japanese history wooden armor existed, yes it did, but it's pre-samurai era. So having a samurai in wooden armor makes absolutely no sense historically speaking. Of course, in this alternative reality it's absolutely fine, but it's just so you know. And by the way, I've got a dedicate today. I'm promoting a lot of my videos, but yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even consider it. It's just, it comes to my mind. I do have a dedicated video on wooden armor and how it was actually historical, whether it was historical, when it was used, how it looked. I've got pictures for you, and in relation to the fact that samurai use wooden armor in the For Honor universe. Yes, I understand this is an alternate reality, so it's fine if they wanted to do this, but I think if it were me, what I would have done, or what I would have wanted is to have a gladiator who basically has access to, I'm not saying all types of gear that actual real historical gladiators had access to, but at least get the net. And because in the net in a game like For Honor could bring up some really cool gameplay mechanics. I think. I mean, tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree with this. But I think having the net, perhaps you can, for as a support class, it would be perfect. With the net, you sort of block your opponent for a few seconds, allowing a knight or a Kensei to go in for the kill. That would be really cool. Some interesting mechanics. And so this way, it's like a light class. I liked the fact that they added stamina. They say that these gladiators, they are quick, they're light, they are not armored, but or lightly armored, but they get a lot of stamina. And I like that because it gives the idea of these guys are pros. They fight all the time, and it's cool. But as I say, I would have done that. I would have done like you can. I don't know if they will. I mean, maybe you know this more than I do. But it would be cool to be able to choose. Like, do I really want a full Retiarius with trident and net, or am I going to mix up a little bit and perhaps use a rectangular shield rather than a round shield? It would be nice if there were a little bit of customization. And it's basically the same thing I said as far as the Centurion class. I said, please let us choose like between armor. Like, am I wearing Lorica Segmentata? Am I wearing Lorica Hamata? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a history buff. Maybe it doesn't really matter, and the game is already perfect as far as gameplay is concerned. Probably. I'm not complaining, but I'm saying as a history buff, and I'm so sure that a lot of you watching my content are, I would like it to be able to, since they're not loosely based on history. They even have the same names. Gladiator, Gladiator. You've got Centurion. So since they are based on history, it would be nice to give us a little bit more customization, the ability to choose what gladiator you want to inspire your character from. Whereas this way, it's, as I say, it's an Oplomachus who forgot his spear and got the trident from Aretiarius. It's a bit of a mess. Instead, you know, as I said, my favorite gladiator is a Secutor. Give me something that looks like the sort of helmets and weapons that a Secutor uses, because then I'm gonna enjoy fully this class. So, to finish it up, to wrap it up, am I gonna play this class? I will try it a few times, definitely, but I think I will stick to my Kensei for now. And before someone wonders, and because I know some people will tell me, why are you mispronouncing it? It's pronounced Kensei. Actually, in Japanese, and I do speak Japanese, when you have e and e, the last sound e often is dropped by natives. So the actual Japanese way of pronouncing it is Kensei. Kensei, just like when you say sensei, sensei. Anyways, just a little curiosity for you. So for now, we'll stick to my Kensei. We'll try this, although I am a huge fan of Roman history. Maybe rather than playing the Gladiator, I would go for the Centurion. Probably that's the one. Although I said I wasn't exceptionally, I'm not like super happy with the way he looks, particularly because of the mask. I'm not a big fan of the mask. But apart from that, yeah, I'll try it, but I think I'll stick to the Kensei. Alright, so let me know, what have you tried, have you played with the Gladiator? Do you like the gameplay? Do you like the looks? Please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you liked this video, if you would like me to talk about the Highlander as well. Alright, noble ones, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.